Alright, yeah, that's all. It's great. It's the same thing as RG250. It's basically the same thing. Okay, so I did do a video on how to have it. Okay, so I can just take it off. So I just find it around, so therefore I could go to like game archive and just take that off. Take that one out.
No,
in fact, you probably really don't want to drive it.
I don't want to fuck it up and have to go through all of the processes again.
No, you're just literally dragging it out. Okay. We gotta make it drag.
Because I found out how annoying it can be to format something, spend all the time putting something on there, realize it didn't actually go the way that you thought it was supposed to go.
There you go.
I usually
There you go. That's a flavor.
What I usually try to do with I don't know why it is. I try to just buy a new car and put everything on the new car. And keep the old one just in case something goes horribly wrong. It does, Sandy. There's like okay. Well, anybody who says it doesn't, they're inexperienced. You should not be right. Because I had 25 years of experience on it, and shit goes wrong.
Alright, order in the court.
Or I don't have the money to buy a new car.
Order in the court. Order in the court.
Order in court. Yeah, there.
What? Oh, yeah. Are we on? Are we in pre-roll? Oh, God. I need another fucking beer.
I get you one.
Give him a beer.
One from here?
Sure.
IPA for it. As Dr. Seuss would say, one from here, one from there, one from
I'll take it one from anywhere. I've had before.
Oh.
One from the truck.
Look at my new lens.
Ooh. For what?
Oh, you're kidding. Okay.
Alright.
And let's start this. Like you want to.
What from the rock? Oh, that's God. I'll
Yes.
take anything. Alright.
Alright.
Ready?
Ready.
3, 2, 1. Live from the 604 basement of the Guys, Games, and Beer Towers. It's the fucking goddamn it.
It's the one that doesn't turn.
Yeah!
God damn it. You know, I have one fucking job.
And you know what? This is going to be the episode that my friends go, you know what? This one has the actual
put a
feel
sign
and
on
classic that I like watching. Is when it starts off being
You know,
Me swearing?
You-
Yeah, pretty
not-
much.
you would think that little small things like that were a problem with indie environments, but
Yeah.
you know what? It really isn't,
No, Larry.
because they are quality programs.
Ooh.
Larry, you're so cute when you try to
Do it. Thank
try to like bring us back in.
Do a segue.
You did pretty good.
I know.
Usually it's you derailing it, but you've done an excellent job. When Larry goes like, this is fucked. We are screwed. So Larry drove up, and Tom and I are already drinking. We're in like our second or third. And so Ryan pulls up, and now Larry, Tom, Rob, we're all like screwed. And then poor Jacob runs a little bit late, runs to the office, and now the whole group of us is
Okay.
screwed.
So
But anyway,
So
anyway,
what
today's
I
topic.
was saying, you know what? There's, those kind of small mistakes are not actually in indie games. But you know what? You know what? My question is, are there just too many indie games out there?
wow, Larry, that was
Well, that's
really
very good
well done
segue.
segue. Damn, look at Larry being the segue king here. So, hey guys, so tonight Rob's kicking off a new format, which I absolutely love. We are going to alternate week to week between beer courts and topic shows. So tonight's going to be a topic show.
Yep, next week
Tomorrow's
will
going to be an
be.
exception
Yeah, next week will be an exception.
because we have
we've
an
done, like,
interview.
yeah, and we've done like 3 beer courts in a row. We're gonna go back to our kind of our standard format where we do interviews or do a beer court. That's years ago. That used to be the thing.
Yeah.
Well, we
Or-
didn't separate
or a
them, but
topic and-
yeah, we do a topic or an interview.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go back to that, but beer court's gonna stay in the mix because a lot of people do like beer.
Our
courts.
beer court's awesome, dude.
Yeah, but I want to separate it because we got some people who want to see the interviews. Or you wanna see
We
this,
can
yeah.
only afford to get now drunk bi-weekly.
Really? Because I'm really hammered right now, dude.
That's absolutely not true. We're
Also,
smoked.
I feel like if we keep doing beer court and a and a topic.
Yeah, we're
We
probably
might
screwed.
run out of beer,
All right. Also, good
but
point.
also we might run out of topic.
You know what we did in
No,
Japan?
no.
We ran
Because-
out of beer. We ran Japan out of beer.
in many
once.
venues. Okay, so hey, so
I want to go to
his
Japan just to do that.
we can do
It
that.
was
So
great.
We can do it with just a G2B game.
Easily.
Easily. So, topic tonight is: are there too many indie games? Larry did that perfect segue.
All right.
So give the premise.
Can I do the damn intro that
Yeah,
I
do
actually
the
bothered
intro.
to read?
Yeah.
No, that was a great segue. That was good. No, I got no complaints.
Off the.
I would not change it. Just so you know, I would not change it. All right. So, years ago, like indie games were like super special. You didn't see a whole lot of them. They were being made, but the press wasn't covering them at all. They barely get any downloads. They get zero attention. Then you had like the Ouya. Believe it or not, the Ouya was like a huge motivator for a lot of people to start in indie games, and a lot of indie game developers came from there. And then all of a sudden,
At least
like,
it
it
worked
started-
for somebody.
Yeah. Poor Tracy. But we're not gonna talk. We should do the Ouya one time.
We'll go back to that. We should revisit that.
I've always got a little jealous of the little
Yep.
teeny cube.
Yeah. Okay.
So over time, this grew and grew. There's been indie hits. There's been like companies that have grown. They started out as indie ones and then just grown and grown and grown, and now like it just seems like there's so many of them. So last year on Steam, 14,481 games were released
that are marked
just
as
in that
indie.
year.
That are marked as indie.
That are marked as indie.
Wow.
No, not that are marked as indie. Sorry,
So-
that's
Wow.
overall. But what?
Total.
How many fucking AAA titles are there a year? 50?
Well,
Maybe.
yeah.
Maybe. I think.
All
50, I think.
right,
50
there's
would be generous.
84 Call of Duties released a year, but still,
And
He
when we
has a
talked
fair
about
point.
this, and
I buy 'em all. I'm
this
stupid.
is one of the things that I had kind of when you kind of bring this thought up. I was thinking the line in indie is like blurred, so it's really hard for me because when a game's presented on the Switch, which plays everything,
yeah.
I don't necessarily know that it's an indie game or a big house
Well,
title. I'm not
All
really
right,
sure.
all right, so
So it's like it's almost indie games are almost part of the mainstream, and it's hard to even tell.
All right. Wait.
there you go.
Ryan.
I mean, one of the last Nintendo, I think they call it Nintendo Directs, was their like fall indie showcase. They took like 10 games and they talked about like those 10 smaller
This was Nintendo doing it. Though,
Nintendo
right?
doing it. So it's kind of like, I mean, they seem like a little bit bigger games, but they're still, I guess.
I think
kind
you
of
have to
indie, or are they
separate-
kind of like the,
Wait, is there a
big
corporatization?
corporation, and here's their indie.
There we go.
Indie,
Developer versus publisher
yeah.
is the big difference here. So you can have a small Devolver Digital, and many people consider them an indie developer. They're not really. They're huge.
Right.
But they take a lot of indie developers and publish their stuff. I think they're really good at curating. But yeah, I mean, is it about the developer? I think so. I mean, the developer being like a 1 to 3 person team or something small like that, that's passionate about what they're doing versus the publisher. I think that's probably what's changed. That you've got publishers who will regularly do indie development studios.
So
Now,
then
publishers have always had multiple studios.
Right.
developing.
That's
Then,
what
then I
point.
wonder, like, do gamers? I know this is maybe a little side. Do gamers start to look for certain names that are associated with a project, like you might look for a director in a movie?
Yes, they do. So let's go back to the early days of indie games.
Some of them I have come to actually start looking for specific people and specific developers for different indie games. Like I have an indie game on my phone that I
Ooh,
really
thanks,
enjoy.
Axel.
It's
Bob.
the first time I actually paid money to an app to be going, hey, I want this. And I am at the time that I gave it to him, it was $30 that
Yeah.
I gave to him. and I was broke college student levels, and I actually put a review of like, you guys have done fantastic work, and I wanted all the stuff that you had, all the expansions, all the character slots that were available. Character slots were effectively decks of cards because it was like a card deck building game, and I did all that because one, I wanted to support them, but two, I really liked what they were doing and the updates that they're coming out with and all the things. I was like, yes. And when they put out other stuff, I started looking at their other stuff to be going, you guys put in this little bit of work on these things. You put in passion on these little things. That's what I'm looking for. If they were attached to a big name corporation, then I'd be expecting a lot out of them. But because I came in going, I'm not expecting much from you, and then being blown away to a point where broke college student is putting in money. Hello, I'm not getting myself, something.
So I'm gonna relive your childhood, gentlemen. This is what we used to do in the early days. Team 17, if you remember, was an indie house originally.
I mean, they were all indie
that's
houses
true.
back then.
It's true.
Everything
but,
Amiga was an indie
still,
house.
when you hear a number like, what
Accolade
did you
or
say?
Except for
Epics
EA.
or whatever.
Yeah, except for like EA and Acolyte.
What did you say? 14,000.
No, it was
14,000 games that came out on.
Yeah.
Right,
Right.
that's not
So-
just indie.
Right,
Not
right,
just
but
indie.
not just indie.
Okay, so just take 14,000 is probably the indie games, and the rest were probably.
Let's say there was 1,000 house games and then
13,000.
13,000 indie games.
I think you're being high. Too.
Yeah, I would probably.
And you know what?
50
And you
major
know what I
titles a
think?
year.
You know what I think? It just from a buying experience, I end up with a bit of paralysis of choice. There's so many different ones.
So you are literally saying there are too many
and
indie games.
And I, it's like, oh yeah, oh I like this one, oh I like this one, oh I like this. I don't know, and it's like it, and it's not like I don't particularly have a super small budget like he's talking about, which at a certain point in my life I totally did. But now it's like, I could just buy 30 of those games and it'd be like whatever. But would I play 30 of those games?
No.
I probably would play like one. And it's like, I want to be cognizant of that, right? So
you can afford to throw out on 25 games and have 5 be good, or 30 games and have 5 be good and 25 be garbage. I think. Boy, is there advice to give? Yeah. I didn't think about that angle. There is advice to give.
All right.
There are publishers, like I mentioned earlier, Devolver Digital, who do a lot of indie games, and they curate them. They look for games that are good. They're a company that speaks to me, and I buy their games because I tend to like what they publish.
Right. But they're a publisher only. They're not actually developing any games.
They do develop.
They
they're
do?
serious. They're the serious sales.
Oh, okay.
But,
Never mind. All right.
but they also develop a lot of indie games because they've been there themselves. I'm guessing. You know? And they make a lot. Seriously, they do a lot of indie games, and there are a lot of different ones, and they'll even have indie.
what defines indie?
Small teams. Small teams, low budgets.
Right. So again, the big games that you buy, the major titles, you're talking hundreds of people working on. An indie game can be one guy.
Fez.
We've talked to those one guys.
It was good.
We have.
It's a
we
great
ran
game.
Even at 2DCon, we ran into the one guy. That's
I
like,
won't
this is
leave you
my
hanging.
project, and I'm working on it.
Thank you. And he was doing
Yeah, he's
everything
been
on
good.
that
He
project.
did it for what, 3 years? He said he was working on it for 3 years.
Oh, we talked to 8 guys, and it was.
Yeah, I know. The one guy.
They each had very.
I've been working on this for 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how that I think is, you're right, the clear definition of an indie.
And 4 girlfriends.
Yes.
Working like that will lose you girlfriends.
5 fingers.
Yeah. So
Might as well
no.
just up that ante.
I really think that does define it quite nicely. It's and it can be a team of people. It can be a team of 6, 7 people.
Hey, Jerome.
Hey,
Jerome,
What up?
it's still a small team. Unlike again a release like Modern Warfare or Halo or whatever, that's going to have 100+ people working on it.
I got such mixed feelings
About
this topic, this thought, this idea.
that there's
I
too
don't
many
know.
indie games.
I don't
you
know
are
that I
thinking about it
want-
correctly.
I don't want less indie developing, but I also back to what I was thinking about when I look at like it's a
shovelware?
Steam sale and there is shovelware, but
Lots
you know
of
what?
it. There's a lot of shovelware.
There's lots of it, and there's a lot of similarities, and there's a lot.
All right.
And
So-
I do think that there are people, and it is a big thing on YouTube where they declare things to be shovelware that isn't really shovelware.
Agreed there too.
And I do think that there is a lot of YouTube's about hyperbole. It's about pushing a theme, a narrative. Yes, exactly. And if you stick to the narrative, you do well. And if you don't, you don't. And there are people who have hurt indie gaming.
Yes.
Who
I hate these guys.
who do it because it's advantageous to them. And they, by the way, I'm not judging whether they believe it or not. I'm judging them by the fact that they're not being independent about what they're saying. A good example is, remember a few years ago we had a group on that was doing they were doing like a CD emulator system that would do like Dreamcast.
And it looked awesome.
TG60, and they just got picked apart. And it's like, are you
Oh,
joking?
I can just build this myself. Blah 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 blah. You remember
Yeah,
that?
and the asshole.
No, you really can't.
By the
fuck
way,
nuts.
and I disassembled his video, and the shit that he chose couldn't even work together. So he was not an engineer of any kind. He was not a professional of any kind. He picked a bunch of damn parts that were cheap.
But he was
and-
loud.
Yes, he was, and he was very good at captioning. Now, it sucks because if that's how you're making your living, you basically have to do that to make a living.
Yes.
Oh, rage baiting? There are a lot of rage baiting
Thank
people
you.
out there.
But
Thank you.
they killed a project that was actually really good. And
Right.
was being done by people who had good intent. And
They
I think
had great intent.
matters
They
a
were
lot.
picking good product parts for their product. And like I said, the guy who reviewed it picked like generic shit.
Yeah.
off the
Oh,
shelf.
yeah.
And
the
there's,
cheapest shit
there's
you
even
got,
a nuance there.
Amazon.
Let's say everything that guy said was exactly true of how you could DIY that same thing.
Right, which it wasn't.
But it might have took me 40, 50, 60 hours to assemble
At
and
least,
do all that.
at least.
And these guys are going to put a package together.
And now,
And now I could just purchase and do that really cool thing. And
now,
and it should
asshole,
work.
As you
and
have
now
learned recently.
support it.
Oh,
now,
And now you have to support
to
it.
bring this into a point, allow me to, as I was giving to the gentles here,
Are you saying we're not
he's
Jewish?
recently
Are
coming
you
off
sure
of
everybody
Red
here
Fair.
isn't
Yes.
Jewish?
I just came from the Renaissance Fair not 2 weeks ago. Give me a break.
Are you sure some of us are
That
Jewish?
party breed is-
Yeah.
Jesus calls us
We may
Gentiles?
not be all
That.
Gentile.
But I recently just upgraded my Miu Mini to have the Onion OS on there. And what did I do the first time I did it, even after watching 3 YouTube videos on people talking about how to do it? I loaded everything up, and then I messed it up.
Yeah, but that's part of the learning process.
And I had
That
to
is.
re-go through
Yeah,
everything.
I mean, that's fair.
Right. Okay, but I'm gonna bring it back down to topic. But that does explain why.
But
YouTube
they do
haters,
the same
rage
thing.
haters.
They do the same thing with us. They have to do that
Oh,
experimentation.
But
Right.
to
the
get things
point that
working,
I'm
but yeah.
getting to with that is that there is also something that I've seen, and another person of our crew on our Discord, hey, shout out,
You could say their name.
I
Just
don't
first name.
remember.
Okay.
I don't remember.
All right.
Said, hey, you could do this stuff to get this to work. And yes, I have a Fire Stick that of the quality that he said. But after all the work that I went through the Mini, I don't want to have to go through that effort and fuck up again. So therefore, I'd rather just go out and buy a stick if I can find
and
that.
that's for indie developers who do that kind of work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, theoretically, by the way, I mean, we're talking at least, a good amount of us here have programmed games ourselves, And
Has
maybe
everybody?
tried to edit the
Yeah,
program
everybody
as we went.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, you could write any game. I mean, you could write an indie game if you want.
Okay,
if
so
you put enough time, effort, and stuff. But you know what? Maybe $5, $10,
Yes.
$20.
no.
is
So
worth.
wait a minute. I have to
Thank you, Prince Draconos.
Close enough.
Yeah,
Ooh.
close enough.
Okay, so just a quick one for you. So there is an abundance of indie games. Do you guys think that's because of the new tools that are available?
Oh, like having
Well, I
Unity and
think-
things like that.
I
Thank you.
think,
Yes.
you know what?
I was gonna say that
Go.
there's more classes now for kids to start learning how to program.
Uh-huh.
So maybe there's more people are just like starting out, and that's what they're. The
Fuck,
tools
I
are
would have
given.
gone into
So if they
IT
get a
if this
chance
was
to
around when
release
I was
some
a
kind of
kid.
indie game
I
after a year or two of working on something.
Right.
I mean,
So
I think there's platforms that embrace it because they don't have to do it. So
it's a non-programming platform.
Yeah. So Steam, they greenlight these things and move them through, and they make them available. They didn't have to do work to get them there.
You don't think so? I mean,
The
there's
indie-
still some.
the indie developer had to do it, but the payback is the indie developer has an opportunity. They have an audience, and that is the kind of
Well,
a
that's a
publisher-
developer. Yeah, that's a
developer
developer
publisher
publisher
thing.
experience. Yeah.
And I think it's much
But curating
easier.
that's important.
I think it's much easier now to present indie developers than it was when in '91 and you had to have a floppy disk or some sort of
I'd say it's
hard
Physical
about-
media.
I'd say it's
Yeah.
about 1,000 times easier. at
Yeah.
least.
Right, because they used to put them on like the cover of like magazines
All the
and
time.
stuff like
Oh,
that. and
remember that Amiga format?
Yeah.
Remember when we used
Right,
to
right.
drive? Remember when we used to
Right,
drive
right.
We
like
drive to Illinois.
Right, but
Yeah,
then
the
you had the
Corvette, indie
cost. You
format.
had the
Oh,
cost
man.
of putting
Amiga
a
format.
disc
Uh-huh.
on a magazine, and then you only had a
Love
certain
that.
amount of space on that one floppy you were gonna
Right.
put on. And so you had to I don't know, as a publisher, you probably pick the best 20 of the 400 you received, or
that,
whatever.
and that's
whatever
developer.
number.
That is publishers now.
yeah.
That's what they're doing.
But I'm not sure they're doing much.
Well,
I
obviously,
don't know
like
if they're doing-
Devolver's doing.
they're-
it.
I don't know if
Obviously,
they're-
like other ones are.
I don't know if they're doing much.
Curating.
No, but some
safeguarding
aren't.
or curating
Some
it.
aren't.
There's
I mean, itch.io.
14,000 games in 1 year.
Obviously, itch.io does not give a fuck what they publish. There's some shit on there, but there's also, and I think this is kind of I think this is the one part where I'm sad, is that one time where I get a Fanatical indie bundle or some other indie bundle, right? And I find this game that was from 2014,
A gem.
and it is amazing. And I'm like, it's got no attention. It's got
Oh,
32 reviews. It is fucking amazing. Yet the shitbox game's got 40,000 reviews. I guess.
So now you're diving into a new
Yeah, this is
a new
another.
topic.
This is where I thought it would go.
Are good indie games undercovered?
They do. They get
Yes,
they get buried in the
yes,
shit.
I believe that is the thing. That good indie games are not covered.
Okay,
So-
another topic.
so-
another topic. Let's stick to
so-
our topic.
No, that's fair
Well,
enough. I mean, they're not covered
What we should need
because
is
there's a bunch
a
of them.
quality indie game magazine. Maybe even in hard form.
Yeah, I
I
think.
are there some out there? I don't know.
I-
There's not. No,
But yet people are so subjective, so therefore how can you what I might consider to be a good game might be, a mid-tier
No,
game
but that's okay.
Well, you know
to
what?
Rob,
though?
and you might consider
That's
it to be
okay.
complete
You know
shit.
what? You know what though? I think there is much like judging figure skating. There are some technical aspects of games that they need to deliver on. Period. You need to actually do the thing, and sometimes indie games are falling short in controls. Sometimes they fall short in storylines. Sometimes, and I think
Oh, that's just
those are definitely elements that can be
Oh.
judged fairly.
Oh,
Right.
game mechanics. We've
Same-
talked about this.
Game mechanics
Same with
are the strongest.
AAA games that are being produced. Some are lacking for what they're putting out, and there are some AAA games that I
mean,
find to be shit, and some indie games that
You
I'm
know
going,
what? But the triple
they did amazing.
the AAAs will get shit talked if their mechanics are bad. They
It
will
doesn't.
get it.
But it doesn't hurt them.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
it
it
doesn't
doesn't. It doesn't hurt us.
Call of
and-
Duty's been
and you
shit
know
for,
what?
like,
That's on us, the
half a
consumer.
decade.
But that
So we
goes-
never buy another fucking copy after
But
that.
that goes back to
But-
what Rob was saying.
But we don't do that. We just go ahead and buy the next Call of Duty. You know.
But again,
whatever.
that goes back to what Rob was saying.
But
I mean,
that-
I
that's
do.
You find
that's
this
on
2000,
us.
2014 or 2004 game that was like amazing
Yeah.
that nobody ever found out about.
It does happen because it's very. But the problem is, you know, if we don't have like all these people developing, then maybe those never would have came out.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
they-
like,
they-
I'm kind of
they-
worried about that if we
the
don't have the
triple-
developers who are trying and failing, because some of them obviously fucking try. They obviously care about what they're doing, but
And they might
the
have
game's terrible.
they might have innovation
But
that the AAAs will incorporate.
They might.
but now you still have a store that's still at that 2004 or 14 game is still going to be available on too. With
Right.
Yeah.
Possible if they don't get delisted.
Well,
Yeah, they can.
But you said you found some that.
Right, but that's
Yeah, that one I got
was on
lo-
Fanatical, not on
so-
Steam.
Well,
That
it
is
still
so-
would have had to be on
Oh,
Steam because
here.
we sold the code.
Good point. The game that I purchased money
Yeah, they
on
just
and
didn't
I
delist
have
themselves, I
on
mean.
Yeah.
my old Google Pixel 4, tried to transfer it over to here. It didn't transfer because it's no longer on the Google Store.
Right.
You have to download it
And sideload.
through app
Yeah.
and what is the
Sideload.
Sideload it in to get the updates that they're still putting out for it.
Mixed message, physical media only.
Oh, well, yes, but also PlayStation just pissed me off today because they're saying after the PS5
he went
Pro.
there, Kenny.
Yeah.
You're downloading a PlayStation game today.
Well, they pissed me off because they put out a news report of saying after the PS5 Pro comes out, no more physical media.
They didn't put a CD on it or Blu-ray.
Oh well, they're
you can
not.
add it, but
No, they're
No?
for any of their next consoles that they're doing.
I know, and it's weird
No
they called it
physical
an
media.
Ouya.
I don't. I'm missing something here.
Dead End System joke.
Okay, thank you. I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm-
because the Ouya had no CD-ROM or
Had no physical media
Uh,
capability.
no physical media
Yeah.
capabilities.
And my thing is going, okay, I'll be accepting of this when you drop the price of a game. Game should be back to $40 then, because I'm not buying a physical copy of a game. And also,
do you still want a quality person to program it? This is a different.
No, I want an
topic.
asshole to program it.
yeah.
I want somebody to
All right.
goddamn
The
bang
thing
that.
is-
Let's
I don't know, an
let's
asshole.
pull
the
this
thing
together.
is, I want to own the game that I buy.
Alright. So I'm just gonna ask for final opinions. Let's start with you, Jacob. Jacob, so you are right now, because of the MeU and things that you're doing, and even with your phone, what do you think of the current indie state? Do you think we have too many, or do you think they should be better curated? How do you really feel about it?
I think that there are a lot, and there needs to be a way of actually looking for ones that are curate, I guess is the best word.
Okay, so but you think the Steam Store is not doing a good job curating them?
Oh fuck, I don't like the Steam Store.
Okay,
Yeah,
no,
they're never gonna do that.
that's fine.
But
So
trying to find, I think that the Google Store needs to do a better job
Right.
curating. I think that like various different places, they'll slap on indie because it's a new game or it's a low developed game, but yet when you actually look into who's making this, it's a offshoot. I'd say
It's
offshoot.
a division of Mitsubishi.
Yeah, it's a division of a game where it still has a bunch of people in it.
So it's really not indie. They're just
It's not
slapping
indie.
on
They're
it.
just slapping indie on it because it's effectively shovelware for shit. Most of the shit that I find.
All right. I'm gonna jump to Rob actually, because Rob, I gotta ask you. So we both of us purchase a lot from Fanatical because they're actually a really good thing, and they actually I find
Good.
I myself find they do a good job curating. What do you think?
I think they throw a lot out there. I think they try. They're not perfect.
No.
I am a
One
very
out of
diverse,
every 100 games is great.
No.
I'm a very diverse gamer, so I like a lot of different kinds of things, and I don't think that like indie bundles or indie gaming in general is something that somebody that is into high production gaming is gonna like. I don't think they should go into those bundles.
Right.
Don't bother. If all you like is AAA titles, this isn't gonna appeal to you.
I like my.
But if you are an omnivore, which I am, I love experimental
but now
gaming
you're driving into
because I
bundles.
lived it.
Bundles.
Yeah, but no, in general, I think that indie gaming is great if you want to do some experimentation in your gaming. And I love experimental gaming. That's how we all grew
You know
up.
Oh,
Most of us
love
grew
it.
up with experimental gaming. They were
Right.
trying something
How
new.
am I-
That's
What
where
the
that's
hell?
where new ideas come from, and
It's where
something
new
that we
ideas
haven't
come.
already played or
Al-
like a new
I
idea,
love
a new
that.
concept.
Elegant for a dead world.
Yeah, allegory. Yeah. We saw the difference in generations for that.
All right.
They
so,
grew up with gaming.
So
We had to
Ryan,
put up with
you're
this
of
shit.
that generation. You kind of were at the tail end of that generation.
Wait, which
So you-
generation?
The generation.
He's like 1 year fucking
Where
younger.
we're-
Give me a break. We went to high school at the same time. It's not like a different generation.
We didn't know each other.
Yeah. I swim against him.
It is so fucking weird. Wait, you knew him back then?
I mean,
You
he
said
was
you
a
remember
different
How
high
the fuck
school.
do we not know each other?
Okay, all right. Well,
We
let's-
knew all the
let's go
same
into it.
people.
So
Anyway.
like Rob was saying,
We went to regular
we had
schools.
we had an advantage coming
It's a
up
park.
coming up in our generation.
Yeah.
Well,
What
poorly
do you
case.
what do you think about the current indie
Fair
state?
I like the horror.
Where I'm at right now is
Yeah.
maybe that not that there's too many, but it's just it's finding that something that comes to you like that you might want to read into, but because there is so many. Like you said, some are gonna fall through the cracks and won't be discovered for a few years.
Needle
because
in
a
a
few
haystack.
other ones will get more attention because it's kind of like this game or like that game. So those ones that might be unique that we haven't found, it might just be because they don't fit the normals of what we're kind of used to.
That's actually a good reason to at least look at indie games, even though
And-
there are a ton of them.
And something like VR when it came out, you had a couple big titles and then you had a few smaller ones, and I think that kind of helped maybe come up with ideas. But once you that gets grows, kind of like, it's just like when any new, I'm gonna go to console too. It's like they start out good and you get like, here's like 20 games to choose from that might pique your interest, but now we're 8 years into the Switch. You go to the Switch store and it's like 8,000 things, or their Steam store and there's 24,000 things, or 72,000 things. I mean, I guess search engines help, but on the game, but
Kinda. I mean, if you're paying $2, is it really even?
I think-
yeah.
I-
But at the same point, the indie developer probably gets more help when you buy the game new, too.
Right.
And that's where if their game comes out new
Then
and
that's
you kind
your
of completely
fanatical
miss
bundle.
it,
Right.
they're already working at another job now and doing something else.
Thank you. So if you're buying a game that they
Happens a lot.
that they put out 6 years ago, even though it's a gem, you're right. At that point, you're not. They're just.
And it
It's
might be
still
pretty
good.
career came
It's
with
still
great
good
idea, but
mailbox money.
you missed them and they missed their opportunity to maybe get to that next spot in their game development. Now
So-
they just now they're
Yeah.
a banker or something like that maybe.
So, for my birthday, I did a game.
Lead Guitar Submersible Fate became a
I-
postal worker.
Yeah. Oh. Anyway, that fits. I did a game on a birthday live stream, which was a platformer. Oh God, I wish I could remember the name of it, but it was a 3D platformer, kind of like Mario, and it was it's a Leprechaun, started Leprechaun, and the game was, the developer just fucking got it. I mean, he just got it. The everything was right about the game, and it ended up never getting released. I was able to download a demo from like an archived site that had a link to it, and apparently he like just came back with it recently, like in the last couple months, because he messaged me about it. But he went to college and he was busy. You know what I mean? He just couldn't.
He
couldn't
moved
end
out
at
of
the time.
life.
But this guy was like more talented than many like. I wish he would have joined the Call of Duty crew and taught him how to do some shit. Because them fuckers are just devoid of any ideas that aren't involving music
got out
videos.
corporate.
You know, corporate sucks the life out
Corporate
of you.
head notes.
Sometimes you get lucky, but I do.
It's
think,
always worked before. Do it again.
Yeah.
I do think that the great thing about indie games is the bravery to do something different.
Yeah.
And you don't have these corporate directives where it's got to be so cool or it's got to follow all these lines.
It's got to make this much money.
Right.
Right. And you've got to be so in line. You've got to be so
And it will
extreme.
if it's a first-person shooter.
And,
You know-
and no, see, this is where I agree with Ryan. It's these unusual things that you
Yeah.
just normally don't find. A whole different genre of game, not first-person shooter, not a straight platformer. Maybe a combination of that. Maybe some weird thing you didn't even think could be set up as a game.
Or just some story that's just weird.
Thank you. Or a storyline
I-
that's not the same old storyline.
How come Shoe become a thing?
I
That feels like the most indie but not indie game ever. It's a platformer that you
Different
shoot
time.
with a gun.
Different
game.
time.
I
That was
played-
back, you gotta realize when that came out.
Well, I mean, everything was an indie game.
I've played deck builders, but yet Night of the Full Moon, the game that I downloaded, was not just a deck builder. It was a deck builder that had a story attached to the deck building as you're going about it. So therefore I was like, yes, this is a deck builder, but this is not a deck builder where I would say like this is
I just need these cards.
Yeah, I just need these cards. Yes, there is a way to get to it, but yet you're also going, yes, these cards are very powerful, but yet with this character and in this story that I'm doing, these cards are the most powerful cards in the game, but yet I'm going to have myself a hard time if I'm just trying to go with this meta of these cards are the best cards in the game.
Because I might miss the storyline.
Because I'm missing story, but I'm also trying to meta the game instead of going, okay, what if I actually use
Wait,
mechanics?
Meta like Facebook?
Not that.
What if I'm trying to use
Alright,
the
keep talking for a
mechanics
second.
of
Yeah,
the
we will.
game
We're not going anywhere.
and of the story to actually play the game?
I was wrapping things up.
And that's what
I
they
know you are,
encourage.
right?
That's what they encourage in
We've been drinking all day. No, I like that. So again, you've all brought some very good points of indie gaming here.
Hey!
What the fuck?
Hey, sexy lady! Ho, 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 ho.
Hey,
Oh,
guys,
sit down.
Tracy,
Yeah.
take a seat for a second. At least for a second. We're
I
just
got this one too.
Hey!
Josh. Good to see you guys.
surprise.
Okay, so I'm
You were
gonna.
listening on the way here.
All right, I'm gonna ask you a straight question then. Start with Josh. Josh, too
Josh
many,
is the
too many
person.
indie
I
games.
love indie games.
All right,
I
so
love indie games. But yes,
Do you buy 7,000 of them a year?
yeah,
No, finding the
Oh.
right one is definitely a quest. It's all about trusting the people that you listen to on like YouTube and stuff like that. If they can recommend a nice game, you can find somebody through your favorite YouTuber or something like that.
all right. So
By the way,
so
I'm
your
an
general opinion is
influencer
there's not.
and buy the games I recommend,
So you,
and no one else is.
you're generally saying there
Because I'll
aren't.
get paid per
Larry.
recommendation.
Stop doing the spot,
Oh, yeah.
Larry. Stop doing the spot. So you're generally saying there are not too many indie games.
Well, there are a million indie games that are
But-
fantastic.
Right, but do you think there's too many, or do you think that, or do you think right
More
now?
the merrier.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm
No,
good with that.
but
No, because
don't you end up so? Won't you? Is it impossible? You could end up with a paralysis of decision if
Yeah.
you have
Yeah.
6,000 decisions in front of your
Are you talking
That's just called
That's called
ADHD.
ADHD.
Are you talking like
I was gonna
Netflix?
say that's called
Like,
ADHD, man.
I mean, yeah, Netflix paid $1 million to basically like reduce that effect.
I know.
They have 1,000 million movies, and people stopped actually watching movies because they didn't know what the hell to watch
Hence
because there were
Netflix
too
and
many
chill.
damn movies.
Right.
And so they paid $1 million if you could come up with a algorithm
Yeah.
that would move the needle on 5% of their people. 5%.
Yeah, well, that's actually a large percentage.
I get that.
All right,
But the
okay, so
point
wait.
is,
Well, then
they
that's what-
recognized it as a real issue.
I'm going to agree with Josh, though. I think the more the merrier. But
Yeah.
I'm going to continue.
But
Tracy,
maybe then that's what. Well, I'm gonna go
Oh,
off
shit.
what Larry said. Then maybe that's what they need to do with, like, the rest of the things is more find like an algorithm of certain indie games that you're more interested in, like. What's
Oh, it definitely
like for what
exists.
you put like what you.
But I like what
you
he's doing. I like what Josh is doing with it, looking at YouTube to see what other
And
people are
there's that
playing on
option.
it.
Yeah, but we
Yeah.
already talked about the guy that had no idea what he was talking
But that-
about. And
That,
he just
that does happen a lot.
That
and
does
he
happen.
yelled
That
and
is-
alright.
screamed and
That's-
blah,
Alright.
blah.
So
That's
there,
hard
there
to
is
do.
a certain type of YouTube, and honestly, it's most of the popular YouTube where they have to. I kind of fall victim to this, but I honestly try to avoid it. There is a certain type of video that gets views, and negative videos get more views than positive
Clickbait.
videos.
Clickbait.
And
Clickbait, rage bait.
negative, and I don't know. It's not necessarily that,
You're
but
just gonna get kicked
I'll
off.
tell you
but
this,
some of it
though.
is.
I'll tell you this though. Finding a game that's, indie games, you're not going to find a lot of clickbait, rage bait type of YouTubers using that.
Well,
I mean, the most famous YouTuber on earth is literally a guy that just fucking tears them apart. I mean,
I mean, everybody likes the negative.
I'm not gonna name the guy, but I think since he's the #1 YouTuber on fucking earth, I think
People
we
can
can
figure
all.
out who we're all talking
Yeah.
about.
But no, there's like a million under
You
there.
know what's the fun part is?
Yeah.
I have no
Probably
idea who
is. I
this
can't
person
see a
is.
lot.
Same. I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
look it up now. See who your reference is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Alright.
he sometimes says some racist shit.
Whoa!
Does he
My
wear
turn.
sunglasses and look
Okay,
like a
alright,
pedo?
alright.
No,
No.
no, that guy, he does sometimes say some racist shit too. He's kind of funny though.
All right. All
But
right.
anyway,
All right. Back to subject.
so I there is a certain amount of money to be made of making fun of indie games. There is, and they will display it in a negative light, and they will skip things. And here's the problem: we all have a bias, and like even I have a bias, and I try to fight it.
Everyone.
But
Everyone.
the reason the
Confirmation bias is
the reason some YouTubers will play a game like instead of editing it is to show you the game because they know they're biased and they don't want you to see the bias. If you see a game edited, it's biased by the editor because they're cutting out the things that reinforce what they want to say
yeah.
so that they say it.
It's like
But
politics.
yes, but they don't necessarily mean to do it. They're doing it to entertain people, and fast cuts gets people.
Yeah.
YouTube themselves
Yeah.
tells you